Have you ever imagined the owner of a multi-million-dollar store chain, disguised as a temporary employee, quietly appearing in a small suburban branch, completely unrecognized? It sounds crazy, but that's exactly what happened in Seattle on a cool October morning. Nathan Blake, 48 years old, the founder and CEO of the convenience store chain Blake's Corner, had vanished from media headlines for nearly 7 years. No talk shows, no conference speeches, no social media selfies. People called him the anonymous boss because nobody really knew what he looked like. But today he appeared, not in an Armani suit, not in a shiny Range Rover, and certainly not with an entourage, but in a faded grey hoodie, jeans worn at the knees, and dusty sneakers, an old baseball cap pulled low over his eyes, carrying a simple canvas backpack. He walked into the branch in the southern suburbs, a place few people visited, but which was once the very foundation of Blake's Corner. He introduced himself simply: Nathan's support staff from the head office. No one suspected a thing, because for years this boss had never appeared at any branch in his true capacity. Every employee thought he was just a stranger, sent to help out for a few days before leaving. But they didn't know. This man had once slept in the small room behind the counter of the very first store, had taken out the trash, brewed coffee, and wiped down every single shelf with his own hands, and now he was back. Not to check revenues, not to inspect performance, but to search for what he called the soul of a decent store. Because recently, thank you emails from customers had gradually disappeared. 5-star reviews were replaced by cold complaints. And he himself, the man who once believed that Blake's Corner doesn't just sell goods, it sells kindness, was wondering, what have we lost on the path of expansion? And he had no idea that just a few hours later he would witness an act that seemed small, but was enough to steer his entire life and career in a completely different direction. 10:27 a.m. The store was fairly quiet, with only a few customers stopping by for morning coffee and some pastries. Nathan sat at the auxiliary checkout counter, observing with quiet eyes. The shift manager, a woman named Amanda, seemed oblivious to the new employee, silently memorizing every expression, every word spoken. He quietly wiped tables, emptied trash cans, restocked shelves, without a single complaint. And then the moment arrived. A boy about 10 years old walked in, wrinkled hoodie, worn-out sneakers, his hand tightly clutching a crumpled bill. He walked over to the sandwich counter, hesitated, looking at the menu, then turned and quietly asked the cashier, "Can I buy this sandwich? Is there tax added?" "I only have exactly $5. The cashier glanced over, replying dismissively, "Tax is added afterwards. If it's not enough, choose something else." The boy froze. A flicker of confusion crossed his face. He looked down at the money in his hand, then silently turned back to the candy rack, searching for something cheaper. His eyes still lingered on the meat sandwich he craved so much. He was practically drooling. And at that moment, Nathan stood up. He didn't ask anyone, didn't tell the manager. He simply pulled out his wallet, gently placed a $10 bill on the counter, then turned back to wiping tables, as if it were the most natural thing, as if he were just doing his duty as a new employee. But that small act did not escape one person's notice. It was Amanda, the morning shift manager. She walked over, her voice low. "Why did you do that? The rules don't allow employees to pay for customers." Nathan looked up, his gaze calm. "Do the rules allow us to turn away a hungry child?" The air seemed to thicken. Amanda looked flustered. She mumbled something and turned away without answering. The boy received his sandwich in a neat little paper bag, beaming a smile so radiant it made the whole morning feel warmer. Before leaving the store, he turned back, bowed deeply, and whispered, "Thank you, mister. I'll come back when I have enough money to buy another one." Nathan said nothing. He just nodded, watching the boy disappear through the glass door. But inside him, something was shifting. Not mere emotion, but an undercurrent, because he had seen it. What was being lost at Blake's Corner wasn't profit, it was empathy. And he knew, if a store no longer had the patience to serve a child with a crumpled $5 bill, then no matter how high the revenue, the brand's soul was in critical condition. That afternoon, a light rain began to fall over Seattle. Thin raindrops clung to the store's glass windows, streaking down in long lines. Nathan continued to silently wipe shelves near the coffee station, but inside his head, a storm had just begun to brew. The single question echoed in his mind. Why did a store founded on kindness no longer have enough compassion for a child with only $5? And he decided he had to dig deeper. That evening, when the store closed, he didn't leave, instead of departing like any other temporary support staff. Nathan asked to stay behind to clean up. He volunteered to scrub the floors, wipe down the refrigerators, and then quietly took out his phone, recording what he overheard. The young evening shift employee casually told her boyfriend on a video call, "Honestly, we don't get any instructions about customers having trouble. If someone's short on cash, just tell them to pick something else to avoid trouble." That's what Amanda said. The word trouble made Nathan frown. The next day, he started paying closer attention. The Blake's Corner system once had a special program called the sharing fridge, a small refrigerator placed inside the store containing a few free food items for anyone in need. But at this branch, that fridge had been pushed to the back of the stockroom, plugged in, but completely empty. When asked why, a young employee shrugged. The boss said it took up space. Plus those homeless types kept coming in, asking for stuff. It hurts our image. Nathan said nothing, but his hand tightened on the handle of the mop bucket as he pushed it towards the stockroom. That night, he silently accessed the archived camera system, using a private password known only to him and a select few. In the last 7 days, he found 4 instances where customers were turned away for being short on cash. A college student buying instant noodles was short $1, an old man was mischarged, and a young orphaned beggar was chased away outright. The scenes made Nathan's throat tighten. This was no longer the store he had built. It was a mechanical model, calculating only profit and standards, forgetting the heart. Right then, he knew he couldn't stay silent any longer. The next morning, an internal meeting was hastily called in the employee break room of the branch. Amanda, the store manager, walked in, glancing at the temporary employee, Nathan, who was rearranging a display cabinet. "Nathan, you can take off for the morning shift. There's a delivery tonight, you probably don't need to stay." Her voice was even polite, but distant. Nathan just nodded slightly, showing no reaction. He had grown used to this treatment over the past 3 days, but it was precisely this that made him understand the invisible force overwhelming the spirit of a decent store wasn't fraud, but apathy. 11:00 a.m. The store started getting busy, and right at that moment, Ralph, a familiar heavy-set customer, walked in. He usually bought a loaf of bread and a carton of milk for his grandson, but today he reached for his wallet, then paused. "Amanda, I'm 60 cents short. Could you put it on tab? I can come back tomorrow and pay." Amanda didn't look up, just replied, "Sorry, Mr. Ralph, the store doesn't do tabs. Please pay the full amount." Not a hint of hesitation, not a flicker of sympathy. Nathan was standing right there. He felt like he was suffocating. He stepped forward, his voice low but firm. "I'll cover the rest for him." Amanda looked up slightly surprised, but then she nodded. Ralph thanked him, his hands trembling slightly as he took the bag. And in that exact moment, Nathan removed the old baseball cap, slowly unpinned the name tag, Nathan, Temp Support, from his chest, and placed it on the counter. All eyes in the store turned towards him. He looked up, meeting Amanda's gaze directly. "I am Nathan Blake, the founder of the Blake's Corner chain, and I have been here for the past 3 days." The atmosphere in the store froze. An employee nearly dropped a tray. Amanda turned pale, her lips moving silently without forming words. Nathan didn't raise his voice. He didn't reprimand. He simply pulled a USB drive from his backpack, plugged it into the central management monitor. In moments, the video clips he had recorded over the past 72 hours appeared one by one, the employee calling poor customers trouble, the charity fridge pushed into the stockroom, the image of the old man being refused for being short on money for bread. "I don't need glossy reports. I don't need impressive growth. I just need to know. Have we held on to the most important thing from when we started?" His voice softened. "I founded Blake's Corner not just to sell food, but so that people like Mr. Ralph never have to turn away empty-handed." The silence was so profound you could hear a pin drop. Amanda lowered her head, unable to speak. A young employee from the back, who had been listening quietly, stepped forward, her voice soft. "Sir, if you need someone to help restart the sharing fridge, I'm ready." Nathan turned a spark of warmth in his eyes. "Starting today, we start over. Not from the model, but from the heart." 3 days after the reveal at the South Seattle branch, Nathan Blake returned to the head office. But this time, he didn't sit in his high-floor office looking down at growth charts. Instead, he convened an urgent internal meeting, not about revenue, not about cost-cutting, but about the one thing that had troubled him after his undercover trip. On the large screen in the middle of the meeting room, he displayed a simple photo. A small old refrigerator tucked into the corner of an old store where he had started his career, and just below it was a handwritten note by him from 17 years ago. "If you're hungry, just open the fridge. There's no judgment here, only sharing." No one in the meeting room spoke. They had never seen their boss like this, unadorned, sincere and haunting like someone waking from a long stupor. Nathan spoke slowly, each word deliberate. "I used to think opening more stores meant expanding value. But I was wrong. We only truly grow strong when we don't forget why we started." He paused, his gaze sweeping across everyone present. "We're going to start over, starting with a refrigerator." And from that moment, the Fridge of Kindness campaign was relaunched across the entire system. Every Blake's Corner branch would install a sharing fridge right near the entrance. Anyone, regardless of status, income or circumstance, could come and take a free meal. The fridges would be restocked daily with safe food nearing its expiration date, items that previously would have just been thrown away. Employees were encouraged to identify genuinely difficult situations so the store could offer quiet support. No fanfare, no need for check-ins or photos, no PR signs, no colorful banners, just a simple white refrigerator but filled with human kindness inside. And then these simple things created an effect no one anticipated. A week later, a customer took a picture of the first Fridge of Kindness and posted it online with the caption, "Saw the kindest thing today amidst a bustling city." The post received hundreds of thousands of shares. The press started reporting on it. Other store chains began to follow suit, but Nathan just smiled faintly when he saw it all. For him, the most important thing wasn't the virality. It was that yesterday when he returned to the South Seattle branch, he saw Ralph helping a strange little girl get a meal from the fridge of kindness and saying, "Go ahead and eat, kid, don't be shy. I've been hungry like you too."